Tonight we're going to look at 2, 7 absolute value functions. We're going to graph the absolute value functions. Absolute value function has a parent function of f of x equals the absolute value of x. F of x equals the absolute value of x has a vertex of 0, 0. And then from there we basically make a t-chart, put the vertex in the middle, and then you pick two numbers below and two numbers above the vertex for the x's, and you plug in the values to find the y's. So we would have f of -1 equals the absolute value of -1, which is +1. You can see the point -1, +1. And then we have f of -2 equals the absolute value of -2, which would be +2. So we have the point -2, +2. And you can see those are on the lines. Then, because it makes a V shape, it's symmetrical, so we can just copy down the numbers that we got above. So we have the point 1, 1 and 2, 2. And there's our vertex, and then that's how we draw the graph. And then you just go ahead and draw in the V-shaped absolute value. So always the V-shaped. Kind of is nice because absolute value starts with a V. So a good way to kind of make that connection. The formula that you need to remember, this is the vertex formula. G of x equals the absolute value of x minus h plus k. So the vertex is at hk. So you need to write down the part that I circled and then write down the part that I wrote down here. Everything else is optional. Alright, so you can see hk. Notice that inside it has a positive, or has a negative h, and then down here notice that this is a positive h, so whatever the opposite of this is, notice that this is positive. This guy is always the same, so notice that it's plus k and it's plus k. So up here it says minus h, plus h. Up here it says plus k, plus k. So h is always the opposite, k is always the same sign. So let's do an example. Let's do y equals absolute value of x plus 4, absolute value, minus 2. So step 1 is to find out what h and k are. So h is equal to the opposite of the number that's in the absolute value. So this is a positive 4. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. K is equal to the same sign that's outside the absolute value. This is a negative 2. So k is equal to a negative 2. So the opposite of what's inside, the same as what's outside. Alright, so then our parent function goes from the y, the equal sign, and it stops right before we get to h. So our parent function is y equals the absolute value of h. Because this part, absolute value of x. Because this part is hk. That's not a part of the parent function. So parent function starts at y equals absolute value of x, stop. So we have y equals the absolute value of x. So we make a chart for that. It's always the same one. 0, 0, -1, -2, 1, 2. And remember from the last example, it's always the same thing. Alright, so we start there, and now we just need to use hk. So it's x minus h, which in this case is 4, y, and then minus k, in this case is -2. So it's actually x plus h, y plus k. But because h and k were both negative, I put minus. So we take this number, we take the -2, and we're going to plug it in. So -2 minus 4 makes -6. Alright, we're going to do the next one. -1 minus 4 is -5. 0 minus 4, -4. 1 minus 4, -3. 2 minus 4, -2. Nice little pattern. Now we're going to do y plus k. So we're going to take this y, the 2, and plug it into 2 minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. We're going to get the next y, which is 1. Plug the 1 in here. 1 minus 2. -1. We're going to get the next y, which is 0. 0, 0 minus 2, negative 2. 1 minus 2, negative 1. 2 minus 2, 0. Remember before we talked about these being symmetrical, and conveniently enough, we have 0, negative 1, 2, and then negative 1, 0. So you can see they're symmetrical about the vertex. Notice the vertex, negative 1, negative 2, is same as HK. So kind of nice, because that's what's supposed to happen. So, negative 4, negative 2, and that's HK. You can see where we got that from, right? If you look up here, negative 4, negative 2. Opposite of this number and this number, negative 4, negative 2. So now we just plot the other points. Negative 5, negative 1. Negative 6, 0. Negative 3, negative 1. Negative 2, 0. Notice that it forms the V-like picture. Put arrows on both ends, and you're done.